Welcome to the Kelly Healing Project, where we have real conversations about healing, growth, and stepping into your power. I'm Kelly, and I'm so glad you are here. So, today I'm joined by someone whose work helps people explore the deeper patterns shaping their lives and create meaningful transformation through self awareness and healing and spiritual insight. Marvin Wilkerson is a spiritual astrologer, certified hypnotherapist, master NLP practitioner, and author of Soul Fusion Healing, integrating mind, body, and soul. For decades, Marvin has helped people better understand the subconscious beliefs, emotional patterns, and inner stories that influences the way they think, feel, and move through life. Through a unique blend of astrology, hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and spiritual coaching, Marvin helps individuals uncover hidden patterns, gain deeper insight, and create lasting change from the inside out. His work is rooted in the belief that transformation begins when we become conscious of what has been operating beneath the surface and learn how to align our thoughts, emotions, and actions with who we truly are. So today we're exploring the subconscious mind, the stories we tell ourselves, astrology as a tool for self-discovery, and how greater self-awareness can support healing, growth, and personal empowerment. Marvin, welcome to the Kelly Healing Project.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so
Looking
glad to
forward
have
to it.
you. So, before we dive into your work, can you tell us a little bit about your own healing journey?
Oh, goodness sakes. It took a long time, many
Yeah.
years. Um, well, I guess my healing journey started when I was a very young man, actually still in high school. And I read the book, Judah Krishnamurti's Think on These Things. And it helped me to realize that I could think for myself instead of being told uh, what was truth and what to think. And of course, I grew up in Virginia Beach, so I had the Edgar Casey Foundation. I did a lot of studies and readings there, read a lot of books, um, and then I met my spiritual teacher, which was an astrologer and studying Native American Indianism and the medicine wheel in the '90s. And I left corporate America in 2009 and have been in full practice ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so first of all, you talked about the medicine wheel, and I've heard that term before. Is it possible you could kind of tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, to fit into your astrological knowledge, everything's a cycle and everything is a phase and everything is a
Mm.
pattern. So the medicine wheel, uh, there's thousands of medicine wheels all across North America. The Indians are probably one of the most spiritual groups of later times that we have known. Um, And so that medicine wheel actually, I mean, shamans use it. It connects you to the cycle you're in. It connects you to understanding the phases and those patterns. And that's why it dovetailed into astrology so easily, because astrology is the same thing. So we look at the medicine wheel, we look at the chart as a sky cycle, and we look at the medicine wheel as an earth cycle.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's very interesting. So, okay, so how do you explain astrology to somebody who is skeptical? Because I know there's a lot of people that are very skeptical about it, and I've done my own research, and a lot of it, the more that I study even my own birth chart, a lot of it makes sense and it resonates deeply with me. So how do you explain it to somebody who's maybe skeptical?
Well, it's been a long time since I've tried to explain that to a skeptical person. Um, Astrology is nothing more than an energy pattern. Everything is energy. And of
Mm,
course, Einstein said that. So there's no denying it. We are in charge of the frequency and vibration that we choose. If I can give you a map of the energy that we were born with, of what we wanted to accomplish in a lifetime, would that pique your interest? And so astrology is a set of instructions that show how planetary energies should be used and
mm,
how you can consciously work with them. And it gives me your soul's path of what you want to accomplish in this life. And it's it's nothing to believe in. It's simply like I believe it was Isaac Newton that said, "Sir, I have studied it; you have not."
mm.
One of the antiquities said that. So if it wasn't Isaac Newton, it was somebody.
Right.
And I think that that's the biggest thing to say. I mean, I've been studying it for 50 years. I've read tens of thousands of charts, and so I understand the patterns. I understand the gestalt of astrology as a whole, just
Mm,
as you would want to look at a human being as a whole,
right.
because there's many facets and characteristics to a human being, and
Mm.
so is astrology.
So if you're looking at somebody's soul path, is it a combination of all of the um I guess the chart or the planets, or is it like is it one thing like the south node or the ascendant, or is it a combination of everything that shows the path when you're
Well,
looking at a chart?
everything in a chart is
Just everything.
represents your past. Uh, I think even better than that, um, Edgar Casey talked about whatever energies are in your chart, and the dominant energy in your chart is where you have just been, and you carry the vibration and the energy of that planet, and so um, it just helps you to understand that not only is the moon, the nodes, and the rising and Saturn um, is representative
Mm,
of your past. It's how you perceived your perception of life uh, and your perspective up to this point that are in error. And you've come in to correct those errors and correct those misperceptions and errors. So astrology has a lot to say about where you're going, where you're coming from, where you are now, and what do you need to change to achieve the goal of your soul.
right. Um, so if somebody say had and for some reason the term is I can't remember what it's called, but if there's three or more planets in one house, is that somewhere that's more emphasized, or it's like a lesson that they're here to learn? Is in that house, the planets that are in that house, that kind of makes up what a person is kind of here to embody, or something that's really emphasized for that person in this lifetime. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're going to emphasize you're going to use that energy to emphasize whatever lessons you're needing to experience or whatever activities you're needing to experience to grow from. Um, actually, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember, it's, it actually takes four or more planets to be a what you're thinking of.
Oh,
Um, So that's a dominant experience when you have four or more energies in the same sign or in the same house. But it's all pretty much basic to say the same thing. You're trying to use a lot of energy as an emphasis to learn. those activities and that energy, how to use that energy a little better than maybe you used it in the past.
Mm, okay. Um, so you worked with both astrology and hypnosis. So how do these two modalities complement each other?
Because one is going to work with the, I mean, astrology shows you everything. It shows
Right.
your subconscious, your conscious, your commitments, and your individuality, as well as
Mhm.
what your soul is here to broaden and deepen in your life. And so, hypnosis is when you come to me as a counselor or a person that to help you through a conflict or problem or a something that's gone on in your life repeatedly. Well, the fix is in the subconscious mind because it's a million
Mhm.
times more powerful than your conscious mind.
Mhm.
So whatever's going on in your conscious mind and your body is what I'm going to then be guided by the hypnosis, which gets the conscious mind out of the way so that it
Mhm.
can then be open to receiving positive and better suggestions on how to better use energy or now a better way to
Mhm.
think. And NLP uses the power of all people using visualization and then reconnecting a an issue from one point in your neurons and patterning to another point that is much easier and much more in alignment with your authentic you. And the subconscious follows whatever is the easiest path.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So, what patterns do you see repeatedly in people who feel stuck? Because I know a lot of people feel stuck. Yeah.
Well, there's stress, there's
Mm,
anxieties, there's relationships, there's work. I mean, my latest client here just the other day, or was it yesterday? Um, he came to me because I highly intelligent person, salesman in technology, a Gemini with 3 or 4 planets there, and his fear, his greatest fear in life was that he was fired 10 years ago and he still carries that fear.
oh, wow. Okay. So,
So, everything is a belief.
mm,
And the truth of the matter is, one of the greatest psychologists, psychiatrists of the 20th century, James Hillman, says all beliefs are fiction.
mm,
So there are no beliefs that are valid. It's just a container that you want to put something in that is personally consciously safe for you. But that
right,
doesn't have anything to do with truth or falsity.
right. So, you help people with hypnosis get down to those deep beliefs so they can actually have a belief that empowers them instead of disempowers them. Right?
Well,
And
I try to
yeah,
get him. I mean, just for that person, you got to get him
right.
out of his head and get him
Mm,
into his heart. I mean, that's like head and heart is
uh,
a huge problem with people. I mean, unless if you don't get if everything is in your head, well then where's room for your emotions, love, and joy in your heart?
mm, very
I mean,
true. Yeah.
you don't consider that as being valid. Every issue in that body comes with a belief, and that's one of my favorite pastimes. Is when people tell me they got a problem, I says, "Well, what belief do you have that supports it?"
Um, well, wow. So, what do you believe the soul is trying to teach us through the challenges that we keep encountering in our lives?
Well, you
Do you,
keep creating them
through
because
the
you have a
beliefs?
misperception in a creation.
Mm,
So if you create it, You're creating it so that you'll keep facing an opportunity to grow. And if you have to face it 100 times, your soul don't
Mm,
care. It'll send
mm,
you. I've had people come in that were very spiritual. Oh, I meditate 5 hours a day, and I'm still having all these problems. Um, Trying to be spiritual. I said, well, how about just being human? Because you are spiritual.
mm. Wow. Okay. So, and when you work with clients, how long does it take you to really help them see a difference? Is it one session? Is it two sessions? Or does it depend on the person?
Well, it depends on the person, but mostly five sessions is what my
Okay.
average runs.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. Wow. Um, so your book is called Soul Fusion Healing. So what does soul fusion really mean?
In other words, your ego doesn't know you have a higher self. It thinks
Okay.
it's protecting. Well, instead of protecting you, it's actually complicating your life. So soul fusion is when you get into bypass the conscious mind and get into the higher mind, which then can get into a dimension or a place where you can actually then receive from the subconscious truth. Uh, Dolores Cannon and several others have coined the phrase quantum healing. So I like to take spiritual people into that higher realm where their subconscious can then connect with them and talk with them, and there's nothing that can happen negative in that realm. So when you get into a higher realm, and of course, when I say higher realm, you can get all the way into the realm of universal consciousness. Well, when you get into universal consciousness, it's automatic healing because you're in the all that is.
Mm, okay. So you talk about integrating the mind, body, and soul. Why is that integration so important?
Well, because the mind is what your 5% of your reality is created by your conscious mind. Your conscious mind is a direct connection to your body. So whatever goes on with your body, whatever sickness, whatever illness, whatever ache,
Mm,
whatever pain, whatever emotion is coming out of the conscious mind, the ego mind. When you
mm,
connect with the soul, you're in your subconscious mind, which is a million times more powerful than the conscious mind. A million.
mm,
And the conscious mind creates 5% of your reality, and the subconscious mind creates 95%. And one of my favorite quotes is from Einstein that says, "When I think, 99 times, when I think, I find nothing, and when I stop thinking and swim in silence, truth comes to me." Now
mm,
that says it all.
mm. Um, and also another thing that I wanted to ask you was what causes soul fragmentation? Because I don't know if soul fragmentation is mentioned in your soul fusion healing video or book.
Most
Um,
definitely.
okay. Is that not being connected to your authentic self? It's not being true to yourself?
Well, no,
Is that kind
that's
of?
having experiences and then um, holding on to those experiences as valid or emotional or causing stress or causing problems. So you can have your psychology can be a fragmentation of what you believe, your perspective perception that's in error.
Mm,
You see, every human being here is here for self realization.
mm,
Anything that takes you away from being your authentic self is a fragmentation. So, emotionalism can be a fragmentation, surgery can be a fragmentation, behavior patterns, addictions cause
mm,
a fragmentation. So, you got to figure in a multitude of lifetimes. How about depression and anxiety? That's
Mm,
certainly not your authentic you. That's certainly not a spiritual you. That causes fragmentation. So you can
mm,
see that we can fragment in a multitude of ways, and they
mm,
all have to come back together, and they can come together in a higher dimension of mind.
mm. So, what is the most powerful lesson life has taught you personally?
Boy, that's a big one. Wow, Kelly. Um, you know, I look back as I'm pretty old geezer now at 75, and I look back at my life path, and I realized a lot of things that I did when I was in my 20s out of insecurity or around the need to survive.
Mm,
And I, it, I had to learn, especially um, in when I turned 45, I met my third wife now of 28 years, and I had to I had to realize that I loved her more than I loved hanging on to my old taught self
mm,
of what a man was.
oh,
so,
wow.
so I would imagine a lot of women can understand that. But that was probably my biggest lessons. And then when you realize that you are responsible for every single thing that happens in your life, your only question should be, what is this showing me? What is this teaching me? So you can take
Mm,
responsibility for what you create. And
mm,
I think that as I put all those together, and it takes work. I mean, you have to work on that. You just can't understand that as a truth. You can understand that as a truth and still have the same problem. But you have to work on it and you have to take responsibility for one event at a time. And when you
mm,
take responsibility for creating one event at a time, well, then you're always learning, you're always growing, and you're always coming from your authentic you.
mm. Wow, that's true. I love how you said, yeah, what is this showing me and what is this teaching me? I love those questions because a lot of times I journal a lot about my own habits, even things that I think are not normal and I don't like the way that I feel because I had complex PTSD. I've done a lot of healing, a lot of inner work. And I always question certain things and I journal and I'd write, is this normal? And do I like the way this makes me feel? No, I don't. And then I start journaling and I'm trying to get down to like the root of why do I act that way? Why? Um, and a lot of it, at least for me, is I've become better at regulating my nervous system and also kind of trying to get down to those deep beliefs because even in my past trauma and the trauma that I experienced, there were certain meanings that I gave those events, and those meanings aren't necessarily true, but they kept me alive. But I no longer need to keep them anymore. They're not accurate, and that's not the life that I want to live going forward.
Right?
So,
I mean, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, who would you be if I wiped out all of your past and all you kept was your talents, tools, and abilities of now?
wow. Oh, that's a good
Who would
question.
you be if you
Yeah.
didn't have a body?
Mm,
You would certainly be. You're a
yeah.
soul that lives forever. You're a spiritual being, so
Mm,
you don't need a body. You're using a body.
right.
Dr.
Mm,
David Hawkins talks about uh, don't quit saying my body and just start thinking of it in terms of I have a body.
right. Mm, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Now that propels healing.
Mm, right. Yeah. God, that is good. So what is one thing you think a lot of people misunderstand about the subconscious mind?
Well, they don't understand it's the most powerful thing we possess.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a million times more powerful than your conscious
Mm,
mind, why would you listen to what you say? Why would you think? Lao said, stop thinking in your problems. That's
mm,
1,500 years before Christ.
mm,
Stop thinking. There's
right.
nothing comes out of thinking. I mean, first off, when you think, all you're doing is using what state. And now that we're looking at quantum physics, you got to realize you don't see reality. If you don't
Mm,
see reality, then what are you thinking? The best
mm,
thing you can do is feel. So the correct conversation is always, what am I thinking? And then run it down to your gut. That's the third brain. What do I feel?
mm,
That's the answer. There's only two truths in life: feelings and emotions. Feelings
mm,
and emotions are the only thing that don't lie. Your conscious mind lies all the time, and it
mm,
doesn't need you. It thinks on its own, and all it wants to do is protect you. And if it has to lie, cheat, and steal to do it, that's what it will do.
mm. Wow. Oh. So what are signs that somebody is being called into a deeper level of growth?
Well, I think the first one is taking responsibility for what they're creating.
Right.
I mean, people don't realize when I say live event to an event, one event to the next event. Well, that's your opportunity. What is the opportunity that I'm
Mm,
experiencing? Because everything is an opportunity, all the way from the most hateful
true.
disease to close to death or illness or some sort of bodily functions that are going on that, that you've created for a reason. So if you look at everything as opportunity to grow, to learn,
Mm,
that's a big dang step.
right. Right. I love that. Yeah, and it's all about the way that you look at it too. Instead of being the victim, it's all an opportunity, and these things came along to build the person that you're supposed to be. So it's almost like accepting, even for me, accepting that that was my journey and that's what happened, because I can't deny what happened in the past. So I need to accept it and to see it as it came to build me and build the
Yeah.
person that I am. And I'm so grateful for that. I don't know the person that I would be without all the trauma. And as crazy as that
Why,
sounds.
certainly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I tell people, look, we we do not choose our desires. Our desires are chosen by our soul group that is helping us to learn different experiences by the desires that we go manifest. Our greatest fear is the unknown. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if we were in charge of our desires and in charge of our will, we wouldn't go into the unknown. We wouldn't we wouldn't be challenged. We wouldn't step foot in a painful experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's your greatest teacher. And so as you just look at it as this is an opportunity, what is it teaching me? Then you realize that the soul is guiding you to to discover your authentic you, your self-realization. And you can get there when you follow your feelings and your positive emotions, as well as your negative emotions. When you're holding on to negative emotions, you're holding on to something that isn't real. You're making it up. Dr. David Hawkins talks about give me 101 fears and I'll give you 101 things you're making up.
Mm-hmm.
They're not true. You're making them up.
Oh, yeah. Like the false evidence appearing real. Have you heard of that? Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah,
So
well, you make it
it
real because that's what you want it to be.
hmm. That's
There's
okay.
some part of you that wants that fear. There's some part of you that that fear is serving. And that's how I work with the subconscious mind,
Mm, mm,
because the subconscious mind follows the conscious mind's request. The
mm,
subconscious mind doesn't analyze, it doesn't use words.
right.
The subconscious mind simply follows the will of your conscious mind. And so this
Mm,
is why C.G. Jung said when the conscious mind knows what's in the unconscious subconscious mind, you'll be enlightened
mm.
because
Oh,
you'll quit following the conscious mind.
oh, okay. So, what causes people to give their power away?
Insecurity,
Mm, oh,
you
yeah.
know, is fourth house. It's this is your soul. Your soul enters in the fourth house and leaves through the fourth house. So you're
Mm,
here to learn emotional stability, security, and self-image. Who do you
mm.
think yourself to be?
Oh, okay. Yeah, the fourth house, the house of home. So, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh,
It's the
okay.
real home.
Oh, oh my
It,
gosh, that
it,
makes so much.
is, it isn't just your family's home. Your family is just your programmers and your
Mm,
uh, people that teach you your language and so forth. So, but they're not your soul. They're not your home. Your home is in universal consciousness.
right. Wow. Okay. That was good. Okay. I'm like, okay, that makes so much sense. Um, so what is one simple step someone can take today to start rewriting an old narrative?
Well, I'm an old hippie, so I mean, I think we came up with the best verbiage back in the 1960s. Is it feel good? Do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm,
So whatever feels good, that's what you do. And if it becomes painful and you discover yourself from it, it's perfect.
oh, okay. Yeah, well, I guess you kind of could say that's almost following what is in alignment with your soul and what feels good, what comes easy. Is that kind of what you're
No, it
saying?
doesn't
Or
necessarily come easy.
not okay. Oh,
Oh, it's not
oh,
easy. I mean,
hmm,
when you follow your intuition and feelings, and that's where really intuition really comes from, is feelings. So when you follow your intuition, the battle is between the ego, which wants supreme control, versus your soul, which is wants to guide you into helping you discover self-realization, which you are a god, you are a co-creator.
right.
So
And that's
that's your
mm,
job.
okay. That makes so much sense. And that's what a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that they are the creator of their life. And they just think
Oh,
that things happen to them and they just don't accept responsibility.
right.
Yeah.
Or so they create a dogma or a religion or a belief
Mm,
system that supports what
right.
they believe so they can have security. And
Mm,
if I get 1,000 people to believe what I believe and you only got 100, well, who wins?
oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you
Mm,
see the conundrum.
mm. So, can you share a powerful client transformation story?
Oh, Lordy, a powerful transformation.
Or at least one that like will
You
stick with
know,
people. Yeah.
anytime that people come in to see me, they are in pain. They've already exhausted every other thing, psychology, doctors, whatever it be.
Mm,
And so they come to a hypnotist last,
right.
and we know they should come to us first,
Mm,
because if I can help you understand what your belief is behind your troubles. I tell you,
mm,
I had a nurse, a cardiac nurse, that was very intuitive, but extremely religious. And um, when I told her I wanted to take her into the light, she says, "Oh, I hate light. I don't like white light." And I said, "Well, okay." And so she knew she was intuitive and discovered things, but um, when uh, I had her into a hypnotic state, and I guided her up into a higher realm. And then I asked her if a light appeared in one of her eyes. And she said, yes, in my left eye. I said, move towards it, embrace it, become one with it. And she raises straight up out of the chair. And she had told me before all this started, she says, oh, I don't deserve to talk to Jesus. I
oh,
said, okay. So
oh,
she came up straight up out of the chair and said, I just heard a voice. And it said, I
mm,
am always with you, my child.
oh, mm,
That changed her life.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. Oh,
Now she understood the real true power of whatever religions you want to believe in, but, you know, but also a belief in herself and that she was worthy.
oh, oh. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people struggle with the worthiness and the just
Yeah,
believing that they're worthy to have the life that they should have or that they're worthy of anyways, but the life that they deserve,
right.
basically. There's
Yeah,
mm. And yeah, it could be programming from parents or parental figures or even, bullies. And, you get these belief systems and you're walking around with them and, you've had them for so long and you don't realize that they're there. So that's amazing that you do hypnosis to help people really get down to the deep, those beliefs that they don't know are there that are driving really their whole life. Um,
correct.
and so
Very correct. Very true.
So, okay. So even if you're hypnosis, so you've healed people with physical pain, like maybe, maybe they have a pain in, a particular body part. So you help that go away with the hypnosis and working on the beliefs. Does that help release energy or does that mainly help work with the belief system? Kind of, is
Well,
that?
it, you see, it's all depending on you may come to an understanding of why you have it and what it's doing for you, but you still have the issue of why you created it and what are you creating. And so,
Mhm.
yes, I've worked with people after a stroke. I've worked with people that had brain issues. I've worked
Mm,
with people with Alzheimer's. And so I've worked with all of those. Um, but it's very complex. You can help them. Like this one football coach wanted to go down to a conference, and he didn't want it. He didn't want people see him um, walking because he was beginning stages of Parkinson's. He didn't want to see
mm,
people. You know, he didn't want his peers to see him walking like
mm.
that. And so I worked with him about 4 sessions, and he actually, and I had him see himself walking up and down the football line as a coach. And then I taught him how to stay focused on what's immediate in front of you instead of focusing on
Mm,
I'm worried about making this step.
mm,
He absolutely started walking better. Now, what created the Parkinson's would be have to go to a very, very, very high quantum level of healing. And there's people that have gotten there. Um, so I mean, there have been cases to where major healing has taken place
right.
because they have reached that level. And it's the same. And I give the anecdote of Jesus saying, "Go, your faith has healed you." Well, if you stood in beside a person that had the frequency and vibration of a Christ, would that not give you confidence to believe in yourself?
Right. Mm, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so he didn't say I did it. He didn't say your father in heaven did it. He said you did it.
Mm. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that's great. So, if somebody listening feels stuck, disconnected from themselves, or unsure of their next step, what would you want them to remember?
Feelings are more important than thinking.
Mm,
Follow your feelings and you'll come listen to your intuition and you'll work yourself out of it. You know, all is energy, and
course.
energy is feelings. Thinking is just
Mm,
words that you've been conditioned to
right.
think, programmed to think. It's not. There's no validity to thinking.
Right.
I mean, you
Mm,
can say, "Oh, that's my car," but it's still me. It's still you. Just because you
right.
got a car doesn't take you away from being you. So
Mm,
everything in life boils down to me. I am me, and that's all
mm,
there is. And
right.
you are a part of all that is.
Mm, wow. So, where can listeners find you and connect more with your work or book a session with you?
Uh, the website that connects everything is my book is called soulfusionhealing.com. And if you go there, you can be guided towards my astrology, which is astromarv.com, or you can be guided to my hypnosis, which is blhypnosis.com for a better life.
Okay.
And you can put Marvin in front of those and reach me through email, and you can certainly give me a call.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for sharing all this insight. It really helped me, and I know that my listeners are really going to enjoy it. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you so much for the work you do and having me and
Mm,
you helping others.
of course. So thank you so much for listening to the Kelly Healing Project. Remember, healing is not about becoming someone new. It's about reconnecting with who you truly are, healing the past, empowering your future. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.